What can you tell us about subsidy and its payment? We understand that the federal government is going to be putting some money into the subsidy reinvestment fund, but a lot of people are saying that, you know, subsidy is really almost non-existent as at now because of this falling price of crude oil. It does present us with an advantage in the sense that if we're correct on this one, that the current price of PMS, landing cost, is 98 naira, as opposed to the subsidized cost of 97 naira. Can you confirm that to us?
Thank you for the question. You know very well that the proper authority to pronounce on the numbers is the PPPRA, with the proper agency of government. Nevertheless, let me say to you that from my interaction with them, the landed cost, taking everything into account at this point, is in the region of about, from their template that I've seen, there is still about 4 naira 48 kobo of subsidy per liter. Don't forget, when you land the product, you still have to pay a certain amount for distribution, petroleum equalization fund, and a few other such things, amounting to 15 naira 49 kobo per liter. When you put it all together, I think the subsidy, you're absolutely correct, is almost finished, almost gone at this point in time. But I do think that the way to manage this is to watch the trend. You can't today reduce the pump price by 1 naira. Tomorrow when it goes up, you will increase it by 1 naira, just like that. You need to be able to have the volatility to settle down a little bit and take the advantage of you know, both knowledge and preparation and all of that to make sure you can properly pronounce on it. At this point, there is very little subsidy, yes, but it still exists according to the PPPRA template.
And from what you see in the budget, you say it's less than 5 naira per liter of fuel. Is that what you're saying?
That's what the PPPRA template currently shows, yes, at the current international price. Let me say to you also, please, that we have made a bit of provision for subsidy for PMS in 2015 for the simple reason that there is a lag structure in the payment. So some of the payments that are currently being made now, made in 2014, were for imports and supplies of 2013. So in 2015, you are going to find that there is some overflow from 2014. But I'm really excited personally to note that the volume of subsidy has declined from 971 billion that we put in the 2013 and 2014 to about 200 billion for next year. And the bottom line for us is that if we don't need it, if we don't use it, then it does not get spent for that purpose. So it's there.
Let me just take you back a little bit. When you were talking about production cuts and the budget, you talked about the fact that sometimes you budget, and by the time you're doing production, you budget at 2.7 or 2.27 million barrels per day. But by the time you get there, you probably have like 2.4 or thereabouts. So there's a cut in production. The question will now be, is the budget solely funded by the oil sector?
Good question. No, it's not funded solely by the oil sector. In fact, I can confirm to you that the non-oil sector, the work we have done with respect to tax administration, improvement in tax administration, has helped this country. We engaged an expert consulting firm to work with our FIRS, and over the years they were given, this particular 2014, they were given an extra target of about 75 billion naira, $500 million roughly at the time. As of November, end of November, they had exceeded that target of 75 billion naira because of the extra work that has been put in.
Mr. Okogu,
and in fact, we are looking next year to have about 160 or so billion naira over and above 2014, purely from the tax side. Okay. Bottom line here is to draw your attention to the fact that we have oil accounting for about 70% of our budget, and the non-oil accounting for the difference. But in a situation where oil revenue fails to perform either because of declining prices or shortfall in production, what you have is that you try to make up as much as possible from other sources, including the non-oil. And your question actually amply demonstrates the reality of this nation, that we are moving to a post-oil, what I describe as a post-oil economy rather than non-oil, post-oil economy.
Okay, I was going to say that FIRS in 2013, for instance, and in all years gone by, they always almost always exceed the targets given to them. We hear them, at least for 2013, they said they had over 4 trillion realized from taxes alone. Now, besides the FIRS, we have the customs. I mean, there are other agencies of government that are helping to bring in revenue. Question would be, yes, you said the oil takes care of just about 70%. Is it that all these other agencies handle just 30%? And where do these taxes come into?
You have the Nigeria Customs Service. That's a major source of revenue for government. And in many jurisdictions, many countries, if you check their budgets, you'll find that the tax on international trade, which is what the tariffs and all those things are, the tax you get from that is a major source of funding the budget. Now, in our own case, you have the customs, you have FIRS, you have government-owned enterprises whose mandate is to run those businesses in a manner that they provide services but also generate some revenue for government. We've been developing and reforming. I'm sure you've heard of the reforms going on with customs over the last few years. And in particular, people can talk now about the thing being low. There was a time when it was very much lower than this. The reforms have improved what we get from these other sources, FIRS, customs, and major government-owned enterprises. So it's a continuous process, and we are pushing them to do much better every single year. You simply say, last year, yes, you did well. This year, we want to do even more. So that's the direction that this government has taken over the last few years.
The question is, where does the funding go? That's the question. Is it also going to the Federation account, or is that strictly for the federal government alone, the funds collected by FIRS and customs?
Oh, okay. No. Thanks for the question. Let me clarify very well on this one. The money that is collected by customs goes to the Federation account. The money collected by the FIRS also goes to the Federation account. Don't forget, we have different types of taxes: personal income tax, company income tax, and the value-added tax. For example, the VAT goes 85% of the VAT collected goes back to the state from which that particular collection was made. Federal government gets only 15%, 1/5, of the VAT. And out of its 15%, we give 1% to the FCT. So that tells you that this is distributed across all 3 tiers of government. The formula for sharing the other taxes, company income tax and all that, is obviously more balanced than. We just make sure that we give as much back to the source of collecting the VAT, that's all. Others are distributed properly in line with the regular formula.